If there's one thing everyone's excited to play in the next Smash aside from the characters, then it's the stages. With Smash 4 on the horizon and the confirmation of past stages, I decided to make a dual list of my top 5 stages from Melee and Brawl that I want to see return. There are only a few rules for this list. First off, no stage by the name of Battlefield or Final Destination from past games can be on this list. Second of all, this list is separated into a dual list because I feel like Melee stages can be in both versions of Smash 4, but the Brawl stages can't due to reasons regarding each game's soundtrack style, hence why they're separated. And finally, if a stage you want to return isn't on this list, then don't worry about it, this is all just an opinion. But I digress. Without further ado, let's get started. Remember when the Brawl devs decided to make stages from Mario 1 dark and gritty? After my initial hatred for this idea wore off, I could see the stage for what it was, and it's actually quite fun. Mushroomy Kingdom, for what it is actually a good recreation of some Super Mario Bros. Levels. You start off in 1-1 or 1-2 of the original Super Mario Bros., and they actually made it as close to the original as you can get. With block placement, mystery boxes, heck, even the warp pipes. Mushroomy Kingdom is still a fun stage to play in Brawl, and I could totally see it being remastered on the Wii U. It just does everything well in terms of level design. The only reason it's number 5 is because I kinda dislike the 1-1 color palette. Sure, it fits the style of Brawl, but couldn't it have had at least a bit of green? Also, the music selection really isn't that strong compared to other tracks. Oh well, you win some, and you lose some. The Star Fox stages have always stuck out to me. You're always flying through the air on a spacecraft of some sort while going through one of the many Star Fox levels. I love them all, I really do. But out of all of them, this one has to be the one that I want to come back. Corneria is a simple concept. Take Sector Z from Smash 64 and add a Cornerian background. Bada bing bada boom, best Star Fox stage to date. The stage is set up in about 2.5 sections. You have the main area in the front, which is where most of the fighting occurs, the back area, which is where most of your friends will try to trap you, and finally, we have the mini cannon, which, let's face it, if you're stuck there, you're dead. The main hazards of this level are going to be Star Fox and Star Wolf. Each of them will shoot at you constantly, and you could even get KO'd just by standing on them. This adds a sense of urgency, and you know you have to avoid them at all costs. Plus, this is one of the only levels in the entire series where Fox can perform a special Easter egg. The reason this stage is number 5 though is, while I do love it a lot, we've already seen it before. I'd rather see some stages that haven't returned already. But hey, I would still be happy if this stage came back. I've always enjoyed the WarioWare games. Playing 7-second micro games and trying to perfect each and every one was no simple task, I'll tell you. Which is why if you're a fan of those games like me, you probably play the WarioWare Inc. stage from time to time. The stage is simple at heart, with 2 platforms on each side and 1 in the middle. But within a matter of seconds, you're thrown into a microgame in which you're given a certain task to complete. Whether you're taunting, chiseling a statue, standing still, or jumping to avoid a rolling chicken nugget, each challenge was unique, and was taken directly from the games themselves. It was recreating those split-second moments of perfection, and always made you ready to see if you were able to accomplish what was thrown at you. In doing so, you would be rewarded with a power-up. Starman, Giant Mushroom, whatever. Sure, it's a little unfair, and some people don't like the stage because of it, but the gimmick never bothered me anyway. Also, that remake of Ashley's theme? Look it up. It's a hectic haze of randomness, and one that I would absolutely love to see return. Brinstar was one of those funny stages for me. It had so much packed into a tiny area, with removable links between platforms and rising lava just waiting to get you. It certainly had many things great about it, of course, but it was missing something. Oh, yep, that's it. The Brinstar Depths is just one of those stages I have trouble explaining why I like it so much, let alone I think it's better than Brinstar. It starts out just like any other stage, staying stationary, and then Kraid pops out of the lava and rotates everything. Maybe it was because it was ever changing. Maybe it's because I was fascinated with it. Maybe I'm just weird. To be fair, the stage was a bit large for some people, and it did get annoying when you got stuck under the giant platform, but it all comes with the package. Either way, it's an amazing stage, and I can only imagine what it would look like if it came back. By far the most difficult choice on this list was deciding what would make it in aside from my favorites. So, I decided to go for a more out there one. PictoChat, similar to WarioWare, is simple at heart, taking a flat area and then adding a whole bunch of crazy hazards, such as wind conditions, spikes, fire, and even adding platforms at will. I mean, it even has a little now entering detail on the stage's base. That's pretty cool. One thing that I really like about the stage though is that they took such an insignificant feature from the DS and made it they made it a stage, for crying out loud. I've also found the music to be quite enjoyable, despite it only having a handful of tracks. I do like all of them. Except Brain Age. Ugh. I don't really know / care about the competitive status on this stage, but if it did return then that'd be just great. When talking about Mushroomy Kingdom, I did say that it was a good recreation in terms of level design, but in terms of essence, I personally think that goes to Super Smash Bros. Melee's Mushroom Kingdom. From having the original 1-1 music to even recreating many of the 8-bit objects in 3D, Mushroom Kingdom 1 is just super fun to play around in, and I appreciate how well it was done. Each section is perfect for battling in my opinion, and sometimes it's just fun to see characters bounce around the blocks. What may bother a few people though is that it is a bit small, it really is, and you can easily get KO'd. But just in terms of fun? Well, I can't speak for everyone, but I certainly had fun. There's just something that was done to keep me coming back to it. With the 8-bit aesthetics and just the small things going on in the background, it's a novel stage, and I hope that novelty returns. The Distant Planet is a very pleasant stage. With its setup and the giant bulb taking up nearly half the screen, it feels like Olimar isn't the only one in scale here, and that truly makes it genuine. Onions and weather effects are present, but they're mostly cast aside for the previously mentioned bulb. Also, if you want the full effect for this stage, might I recommend playing it on Tiny Brawl. This stage also contains some pretty good music tracks as well. I mean, sure, they're not really fit for fighting, but they're still fun to listen to while fighting, if that makes sense. Even though I don't have much to talk about regarding this stage, the reason that it's really high and I wanted to return this much is because I feel like the only thing holding it back was the graphical capabilities of the Wii. I honestly think it would look beautiful on the Wii U, and I really did like the core design overall. Hey, a guy can dream. Poke-Floats. Out of every stage in Melee, this one is by far the most out there. I mean, you begin the battle on a giant Squirtle float, and oh my gosh, it's alive. Anyway, aside from the terrifying start, the stage requires a lot of moving around and platforming. The Pokemon are by far the most interesting part of the stage. I mean, the stage has you jumping around on giant Pokemon in motion, and kinda like that one episode from the anime, it's kinda scary. But that's beside the point. The stage goes on for about a 3.5 minute loop at most, making it one of the longest moving stages without looping in the Smash Bros. Series. On top of that, it features many of the different Pokemon from the first 2 generations, with each one having a different pattern. Some pop in just to pop out, some float up while some float down, and some, well, some are just there. Yep, it's an oddball alright, but it's something I'd be willing to play through if it returned. Before getting to number 1, here are some honorable mentions from Brawl. Boo. Yeah, I want this stage to return. So what? Luigi's Mansion, to put it simply, is a good stage in my opinion. Having a downscaled version of the mansion, yet retaining so much detail, is probably my favorite part about this stage. There are 6 sections in total, each resembling a certain part of Luigi's Mansion. There's the foyer, the ballroom, the baby's room, the study, the washroom, and the roof. The entire mansion is supported by 4 pillars, each one of them is breakable, and after all 4 are destroyed, you have a completely flat area which resembles Final Destination, but with Luigi's Mansion skin. Oh, and booze. Like PictoChat, I could care less if this stage is banned or not. I still find it awesome every time I play it. My only problem is the music. I mean, 5 tracks? Really? And those are, what? Tetris? Freaking Tetris! We get Tetris in the Luigi's Mansion stage? But I digress. My only legitimate problem is that the mansion can feel a bit closed off, and it does make it difficult for some characters to actually be effective. But if you can get over that, it's pretty fine. It's probably because I'm a fan of Luigi's Mansion, but this stage stuck out to me, and trust me, I don't say that about many stages in Brawl. Out of all the stages on this list, this is the one that I want to return the most in Super Smash Bros. 4. At least from Brawl. Before finishing this list off, here are some honorable mentions from Melee. When playing any of the Smash Bros. Games, the first stage I'll always try is the Kirby stage. Each one does something unique with itself. Dreamland was basically the first battlefield. Green Greens incorporated more Kirby elements than ever before, and the Halberd was just an epic stage to play on. And while I do love all those stages, they're not really ones that I want to return. Except... Now I'll admit, Fountain of Dreams may seem like a strange choice, but listen for a second about everything this stage has to offer. A serene environment covers the battlefield in purple and blue hues. A remix of Gourmet Race is in the background, starting off in a comforting tone, and then BAM! Battle-fitting music starts to sound. It's probably one of my favorite songs in the game, to be honest. The core design, the music, and just all the little things, like the reflective character properties on the water, just show how much time and effort was put into this stage. It closely resembles that of Battlefield, except as time goes on, the two side platforms will rise and lower, only slightly changing your height. But did you ever notice those platforms were held up by water spouts? I just love little things like that. Even though it is only fit for 2 to 3 players, I see it as a great place for fighting, and is without a doubt the #1 stage that I want to return in Super Smash Bros. 4. But why settle for just my opinion? Before signing off, here's the Lazy Eyebrow Reviewer with his pick for the stage that he wants to see return.
Why, hello YouTube! Greetings from the Lazy Eyebrow Reviewer, and thank you to KHACE for letting me guest on this wish list of stages for Smash Bros. 4. And what stage do I want to see return the most? Why, none other than Hyrule Temple! Again! My entry has a bit of a story to it. I grew up with 2 sisters who loved to game with me, as well as our mom who would play too from time to time. Man, she was a mean Mario Karter. So, my favorite style of play are the 4-player matches. What does this have to do with Hyrule Temple? Well, everything really. Temple is a big stage, bigger than the likes of Final Destination, Battlefield, Game & Watch, and other stages built for 2, maybe 3 at best. However, not so big as to make the match feel cumbersome, much akin to the way Newport City made it next to impossible to really kill anyone. Heck, they even had to throw in a level hazard that was an instant KO because the level took so long. No, Hyrule Temple is the perfect size for the 4-player frenzies. What with its ruins to the right, the varied level stairs to the left, or even the bottom which allowed for hilarious high percentage hits that made you bounce around like a Super Ball. And don't even get me started on the epic music this level had. I mean, just listen to this track. In short, Hyrule Temple just worked on every single level, literally sometimes, and would make a great addition to Smash 4, like it was a great addition to Brawl. And finally, what would Smash be without the Hyrule Jump Challenge, huh? Back to you, Ace.
Alright, that wraps it up for this list. Thanks to the Lazy Eyebrow Reviewer for being in this video. You can check him out right here, but if you want to check out another one of my videos, here's me glitching up Cave Story 3D, just for fun. But if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't yet, subscribe. Thanks for watching. What stage do you want to see return in Smash 4? Leave a comment down below, and until next time, take care.